One of the biggest things with being a nomad I think people are concerned about is how do I get my mail and how do I get a license and file my taxes in a particular state. And it can become quite a hassle, especially since most of us aren't taught necessarily how to do that. And it can seem complicated and overwhelming. But today I'm going to go through and explain to you the process I took being a nomad and how I got my driver's license in a different state and how I switched my primary domicile and how I handle all my mail and everything like that. The first thing I did was I worked out of South Dakota. So I had a seasonal job and I used that address from that seasonal job to get a South Dakota driver's license. And this in front of you is the South Dakota license ID card application. When you walk into the DMV in Rapid City, you'll be directed to fill out an application. It's very simple. You only need to fill out just this top portion with the yes and no check boxes, and that's it. And you'll need certain documents in order to acquire the license, but it's pretty lenient. It's not super restrictive. Some of the information on here is pretty simple. Your social security number, your name, your last name, your first name, your residential address, mailing address, height, weight, eye color, applying for driver's license, and asking all the generic questions. There is a backside, but it's not necessarily all that important. And the front's all you really need to know. As far as everything goes, you're going to need your birth certificate, your social security card, your previous driver's license, and some kind of proof of the new address you're using to get the South Dakota license under. Now, what's great about South Dakota is you don't necessarily have to have a permanent resident address. You can even use an address of a hotel stay that you have, as long as you have a receipt that has your name on it, the date, and the address. You can use that as well. You can even use a P.O. box. You can use a commercial mailing residential address, a CMRA, or you can use any other address you can get your hands on that has some kind of authentication that allows you to do that. The HR department here in Custer State Park filled out just made up a form basically, and I used that to get my address, and that was pretty much it. So it's pretty lenient as of 2024. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. You can always go in and ask questions, and they, unlike before in Indiana where I've gotten a license before and I've had to get it in the mail, they'll just print off the license right there and give it to you. That easy. What I did from there is I went to the county administration office in Rapid City and I filed my vehicle's plates under that as well. So I have South Dakota plates. That I did have to wait for a title to come in, but I was able to get that. As far as mailing goes and receiving mail, you are able to go to the USPS, the local USPS, basically any USPS, and fill out a form to forward your mail to any address of your choosing. So I did that. I did that 2 weeks before I got to my job. I updated my forwarding address, and lo and behold, instead of the title going to my original address in Indiana, it went to my South Dakota forwarding address. So you can, when you fill out the form at the USPS to forward your mail, it's very easy to have it just sent wherever you want, and you can specify the length of time you want. I don't know if there's a limit on the amount of time, but you can specify a P.O. box, a CMRA, or just any address you want to use, and your mail will be forwarded there, and you can receive mail that way. So that's how I receive mail on the go. I use a CMRA or whatever. The only catch with having a South Dakota address, I have to make sure I'm back in the state for so many weeks or a month or two, I think it is, I'm not sure, every year to maintain my status as a South Dakota resident. And when you get the driver's license in South Dakota, you're switching your primary legal domicile to South Dakota. I have a South Dakota license. My primary domicile is South Dakota. I have to make sure I'm back here in the state every year for a week or two or whatever. It's pretty easy if I find work. I can forward all my mail and everything until I actually get a piece of land in a state or something, if I can even do that, where I can actually have a permanent address. But until then, I can just continuously update my forwarding address to wherever I decide to go and stay. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully this helped some of y'all out. If you're also looking to pick up the nomadic lifestyle or whatever the case may be, wish you the best of luck.